Friendly reminder from our IT people to click on your mic if you're gonna speak today. I'll try and be the mic monitor as best as I can, and with an assist from Roger maybe. So with that in mind, is there anybody that wishes to declare a conflict of interest? Okay, there are none. Is there any additions to the agenda? Anybody care to move the agenda then? Councillor Simpson moves the agenda as circulated. All in favor? That's carried. Then we have 3.1. We have the regular council meeting minutes of May 14, 2018. Any errors or omissions? Councillor Holm moves. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And we have new business. We have 7.1. We have checklisting of March. And then we'll do April. Any questions through to Michelle on item 7.1, the March checklisting? Councillor Chapman with your mic, please. Thank you.
Check number 72482. So these to IPL for the carts. Are all the carts distributed? This is for the green composting ones.
Correct.
That would be correct.
And yes, they are distributed.
Okay, thank you. And just a question, I guess it sort of reflects to the next batch of checks for April. And so what I saw was a check for cell phones. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like a bulk cell phone, and then in April we have some individual checks for cell usage. What's the difference there?
There's several of us that do not have town phones, but we use our own phones,
Okay.
so we get coverage.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Anybody with any additional questions on the March checklist?
I'll move for acceptance of March.
Councillor Chapman moves the March checklist for approval. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. And then your questions roll over into the 7. Okay. Any further questions on 7.2?
Not, I'll move for acceptance of those ones.
Okay, Councillor Chapman moves for acceptance of the April checklist. All in favor? Okay. All right, and then we have, thank you, Michelle. We have 7.3, Kaylin. Go ahead.
Okay, I have an update here on behalf of the Southern Alberta Energy from Waste Association, SAOA. I'll try not to sound too much like a weather reporter on a teleprompter, but we did get an information update from SAOA on where they're at, as well as an idea in terms of next steps. This is an exciting next step because they're at the point now in their feasibility assessment where they are now looking for potential host sites for expressions of interest to see if we can meet their criteria so that they can evaluate the different host sites to see what the best match is for their business plan. So what I can do is go over the highlights that are contained in this information brief, and then I'm going to ask for a resolution from council allowing us to submit an expression of interest to be considered a potential host site for SAOA. That's really all it is right now. Is the Council of Coaldale interested enough to put forward an expression of interest so that they can spend the time and resources to analyze the site so they can in turn compare that with their business model ideals. So in the brief here, the last provincial and municipal elections saw a significant change in elected officials and caused SAOA to pause and do additional engineering studies to help inform new elected officials. They performed an environmental life cycle analysis that was peer-reviewed by Oil and Gas Sustainability and the Pembina Institute. While the report has not been made public, I can tell you that the life cycle analysis states that there will be approximately 7 million tons of greenhouse gas reductions over the life of the project. To put that into perspective, Emissions Reductions Alberta website states that since 2009, it has invested $327 million in 122 projects with an estimated GHG reduction of 8 million tons. It is easy to see that Sayawa's 7 million tons of CO2 are significant, and if received, $30 per ton for carbon credits would easily offset the facility costs by $210 million. The Chinese ban on importing contaminated, mixed plastic and paper has seen a renewed interest in Sayawa from past and prospective new members that see an energy from waste as the anchor for local enhanced plastic and paper products recycling. Recent announcements about Chinese businesses establishing large recycling facilities in the U.S. seem to support that direction, as does the recent contacts we have been getting from international financial institutes looking to get involved with Sayawa. We, Chair Ben Armstrong, recently met with the Premier Southern Alberta Executive Director Anne McGrath, and she has committed to try and arrange meetings with relative ministries soon. The detailed business plan identified tipping fees to range from $4.79 per ton to $91.78 per ton, depending on the funding model and level of higher order of government support. There are 6 potential sites, and some new members are offering to host as well. Of the 6, we have some municipalities have already zoned some districts for an energy from waste facility. To date, more than $1 million of work has taken place within Sayawa. For example, project development plan, regulatory requirements plan, siting process plan, communications plan, procurement process plan, initial business plan, detailed business plan, waste stream characterization, governance model through Brownlee and Municipal Affairs, siting analysis through the University of Alberta, and a life cycle analysis by HDR Inc. with third-party review by ONG Sustainability and the Pembina Institute. This was an update I read verbatim from the Sayawa admin support staff, as well as a summary from their executive director. So I'm passing this on as information to council, and at this time, if council sees merit in taking the next step with an expression of interest. Do you have anything, Mr. Mayor, that you'd like to add?
I just wanted to add that, council has already, in the earlier stages, responded to a request for interest on the potential site host in the affirmative, and so our most recent land use bylaw amendment does allow for alternative energy within the industrial park as well as one of the uses. So this is, again, like Kalen said, would have to go through an extensive matrix of criteria and whatnot. But so it's sort of like just putting your hand to say that you're willing to be on the team and you're not necessarily picked or anything like that. That's about all.
Just in terms of what a site would necessarily include, minimum of 10 acres, just to give you an idea of range, and we'd be able to accommodate that within our industrial park. We could look at some other places, but the easiest, most shovel-ready site currently would be somewhere in the industrial park. And then looking at some of their exclusion criteria, we passed the initial screening process.
1 kilometer from residential. Number 2, where do we have that with our
Oh. I'd have to get clarification if that means a house that's on a farmstead or if that's actually a neighborhood zoning of residential, but that's a good catch.
obviously, like, this is more than a waste energy plant. It's a huge economic development kind of potential as well. So, the cost to build is in its approximately $500 million for the cost of a plant that would be economically viable. So you want to be able to process enough tonnage per year to make the mathematics work out on an economic basis. So it's and then all the energy that it produces and that is for sale and different ancillary benefits. Councillor Simpson?
I would just put the motion forward that would go ahead with Express, that we are willing to go through this.
Any further discussion?
I might just say, Your Worship, that I really appreciated our council's part in it. I think almost from the beginning, and it would be incumbent upon us to stay with it for as long as we can. And so I support the motion to move forward.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, and nobody opposed then, so thank you. All right. And we have 8.1. Do you have enough time? You got, how long will it take?
Give a delegation in 3 minutes.
We can, if we get long-winded, then we can table the rest of your stuff until after our delegation.
Sure. So just a very brief update for council, if I may, Mr. Mayor. We're at almost 800 responses on the survey, so the second wave of circulations to the community to get their voices back regarding the cannabis regulations has done what we expected it to. There's a little bit of a need to address timelines at this point, because the amount of involvement the community would like to have in this particular discussion has resulted in a need to go a little bit beyond the July 1st deadline for certain elements of the land use regulations for this topic. So at this time, we just wanted to give a brief update on the numbers and the fact that we'll have draft regulations back to council by the July 7th date.
Okay. And any questions for the delegation? Thank you for the update. A motion to receive that for information. Councillor Chapman, all in favor? Okay. All right. At this time, I'm delighted to welcome Zach Morrison and Petra Dubois from FCSS to join us at the delegation table. They're going to do a tag team presentation. So who's going to lead off? Who's going to be the lead-off batter? Zach, then, okay.
I've been voted to start, so.
Okay, good. Welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. It's our pleasure to come and present to Town of Coaldale, Town Council, the work and the effort of FCSS here within the town, and specifically some of the highlights from programming that we do, including the Parent Link Center. So back on March 28th, FCSS, Barons Rico Warner FCSS held a all councils meeting, which is where we invite all town councils from our 16 municipalities, those listed at the bottom of the slide there, to one night, one evening of sharing and letting everyone hear directly from our participants of the impact that FCSS is having within our communities. And despite the food, everything else was was a hit. So there's a few council members there that night, and so anyways, but good sharing and good networking that evening. Can I use the clicker? What's that?
Yes, not.
Oh, okay. Or I'll give you that nod. Okay, thank you. I started out that evening and just brought forward this slide, which refers to the FCSS, Family and Community Support Services Act, and the regulation. Just reminding town councils that FCSS is bound by a mandate that guides the work of FCSS within the municipalities, so guides the work, and as well as guides what the intention of the programming is for, but isn't for. So there's some eligible services and ineligible services. Some ineligible ones would include, for example, recreation. So way back when, and last year was the 50th anniversary of FCSS provincially, when the money was brought forward, there was a concern that the dollars may be spent just directly on recreation. So that was removed from the regulation as an eligible service. But the one that is there is, and really guides the mandate of FCSS, is prevention. So this is upstream services that helps to build families, support families, and strengthen families and individuals to enhance the social well-being of those within the community. So I put a little quote at the bottom there. It really comes to an ounce of prevention, but prevention is hard to measure. So we're trying to keep things from happening, and we're trying to ensure that we have strong citizens within the municipality. For Barons Eureka Warner FCSS, there's a second component, and that's the collaboration of the organization. So within the mandate, it does offer this structure of a multi-municipal structure. So we have 16 municipalities. But that is unique around the province. There's not many areas that have that kind of structure. And as far as I'm aware, Barons Eureka Warner is the only one that exclusively has elected officials as part of that board. So some of the other multi-municipal FCSS organizations may have community members as well as elected officials. So as far as I know, Barons Eureka Warner is unique in a number of different ways. It is really the cooperative and spirited nature of the board and the group that really provides optimum services to those within our area. And I'll give an example within the next slide of who we support. So we have a saying around the office, who do we support? Well, diapers to dentures is kind of the kind of the slogan around the office. From babies, mums, soon to be, or women soon to be mothers, seniors, youth, and kind of everyone in between. And it's a broad mandate with the intention of prevention, but the cooperative nature allows us to be able to offer a wide range of services to those within multiple municipalities, and they can travel to different communities in order to provide or receive that service. So on the next slide, counseling. So this is a silent service. And when you think counseling, it isn't trauma, it isn't rehabilitation, it is trying to support families and often couples. So this is a quote directly from someone who receives service over at the hub within the town of Coaldale. And so our counselor there, Lisa, often sees couples who are going through some struggles. But given the small nature and the rural nature of our communities within Barons Eureka Warner, if you pull up to a building, say down in Warner, and you're parked outside that building, people may know or guess why you're there. So they often drive to one of our other communities in order to receive that service to protect their confidentiality. Although we can't talk much about counseling just due to the confidentiality of the service, it really is one of the key flagship services that we offer that has such a ripple effect. So if you think of all the individuals you come in contact with throughout a day, at work, socially, at home, how you approach those relationships is important to the success, the positive nature, and the impact of that person. So if you come to work and you're in a crummy mood, you're going to spread that to others. Well, counseling helps someone to work through their problems, because it may be a problem at home that they're bringing to work. And so if they're coming to work and they're more positive, that impacts everyone. Moving on to youth. This was two initiatives we facilitated last year in Coaldale. One is leading change. So I just talked about recreation. Now you see a big football player on the screen there. But this is a partnership with the Alberta Council of Women's Shelters. And they have an initiative with the Canadian Football League called Leading Change, where they bring in a facilitator through the council, as well as a football player who's received or been has a history of or sometime in their life experienced domestic violence. We go into high schools or they go into high schools and they talk about bullying, dating violence, domestic violence. We went to Kate Andrews here, and the teachers afterwards came up to me and said, I've never seen students sit for a full hour as intent as they were. And so if you've been in high school classrooms or gymnasiums, it's pretty hard to keep them quiet. Keon, who's the football player there, and the facilitator kept their attention for an hour and was really impactful. The other one is the Kindness Rocks project, and if you hashtag Kindness Rocks, you'll see the intention of this project is to paint on stones and leave the stones around communities. Someone finds it, picks it up, sees a warm message. I'll talk a little bit later about our natural playground, but the intention was to do some of this there. But we ran this program back in February here in Coaldale and had some youth come in and paint some rocks. The intention is they keep one, they give one away, and then they spread some around the community. As I said, diapers to dentures, and here we are talking about seniors. And the two items that I just wanted to point out here was one, the seniors conference that happened last year, June 8th here in Coaldale. But the one that doesn't receive a lot of attention is a support group that happens the first Monday of each month. And there's some testimonials from that group. So this is a quiet group. I mean, unless you participate, unless you know someone who does, you wouldn't know this is happening. And so I am happy to have a safe place to share. It feels that I am not alone on my journey. When I feel like giving up, I attend the monthly support group and feel like it's a chance for me to reset the button, and I'm ready to take steps forward again. I am stronger, wiser, and happier after our monthly meeting. So you can see that although this is a quiet group, doesn't receive a lot of attention, it isn't in a newspaper, we're not tweeting it out, it has meaningful impact. And I think I have one more slide before I pass it over to Petra. And this is about volunteers and volunteerism. And FCSS is the mandate supports building communities, and one of the initiatives is through, or one of the objectives or strategies is through volunteerism. We asked the town here a couple of months ago for some support for a youth do crew, and this was federal funding, and what happened was they extended the deadline. So we still haven't heard back from that group or from that funding, but the intention of the youth do crew is to work with the high school, get a group of students, and take on community projects. So it's service orientated. We run a program in Tabor called the Community Volunteer Income Tax Program, and this is through the CRA. And the CRA approached us a couple of years ago and asked if we could find some volunteers for them. And we've done that in Tabor and had some success. Not sure if you know this, but you do have a volunteer in Coaldale who is already currently running this program. They post one up at the poster up at the library around tax season, and it's a drop-off pickup service. So you can drop off your income tax and pick it up afterwards. As far as strategies to reduce poverty or poverty reduction strategies, ensuring that individuals, especially low-income individuals, are submitting their income tax is vitally important, as a lot of the benefits come from those who are in lower income. So GST, AISH for seniors, child tax benefit. But there's a barrier that there's a cost, and there's a barrier that if I do it, I'm going to owe something. And so individuals choose not to complete their income tax out of this fear that I one, don't have money to pay to have it done, but two, I'm going to owe something. And Actually, what happens is the opposite. And so an example is last year in Tabor, we helped to complete 105 income tax refunds or returns. The collective amount of benefits received over the course of the upcoming year was around $600,000. So that, again, that's AISH, that's seniors, that's refund, that's GST, child tax care benefit, child tax care. So we connect with the volunteer here and we let them know that we're available to support if they need it. But FCSS isn't there to be doing everything. It's there to build capacity to help the community build. The last thing I'll mention before I turn it over to Petra is volunteer celebration. And so this is an initiative we want to start in the next year or two to recognize volunteers, not just within an organization, but within a community. So have a community-wide celebration. And we've been in contact a little bit with Cindy Hoffman just about maybe planning something for the future. So those are a few things coming soon. So I'll pass it over to Petra to talk a little bit about the Parent Link Center, which does have a different mandate than FCSS, but it does have a big impact in Coaldale. And then we have 1 or 2 slides after that, and I think we're on time. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to come. I thought I would just start by introducing myself because I haven't met a lot of you. So I'm Petra DeBow, and I'm the new Parent Program Manager for FCSS. My main role is for the Parent Program, which also includes the early childhood programs. And I thought I would just start to talk a little bit about what Parent Link Centers is. So it's a network throughout the province. There is 56 Parent Link Centers across the province, and Coaldale is one of them. So some programs that the Parent Link Centers provide is parent education, PPP, which I will be talking about later, family support in general, early childhood services, developmental screening, which is ages and stages questionnaires, and information and referrals. So a parent, no matter in what community they are, they will receive sort of the same message, which is a real benefit for families who are moving around. So these are some stats from 2017 that we provided. So we provided early childhood development drop-in programs, which includes stay in place, any form of drop-in program where a parent and children come together, and the idea is to promote a healthy development and good bond between parent or caregiver and child, and also giving the child appropriate experiences for that age group. We have parent education, which is PPP, and some other classes like infant massage, baby and me, and then also parent education drop-ins, and then different community events. So we go around to the community and do different events that are kind of a one-time thing with a focus on that same idea of the relationship between parent and child, and some activities that are fun. One unique thing that Coaldale has is a parent preschool program, which is a collaborative between the parent preschool program of southwestern Alberta, and the Lethbridge College and FCSS. So this is a fantastic opportunity because it's actually the early childhood students that are doing their practicum and providing this service. So they're well supervised, and they need to follow the Lethbridge College curriculum for early childhood. So it's a very high quality service that the parents and children of Coaldale receive. And while the children are in this, during the parent preschool program, the parents receive parent education. So usually the parents are asked what they need, and then we kind of arrange for that to happen. So we have so far offered PPP and a lot of other varieties of parent support and education. So this is a program that's been around since 1989, and we serve children from 16 months to 5 years. So PPP, this is my passion. So on top of being the parent program manager, I'm also the Triple P support coordinator for the province. Triple P stands for Positive Parenting Program. So again, this is something that's across the province and something that our government has chosen to ask the parent program or parent education program for parent link centers to offer. And the reason is because it is at this time one of the only parenting programs that has the evidence and research behind it. And in this case, it has 35 years of research and it's ongoing. Triple P is used in, it says 25 countries, but I know because I was just at a conference and it's actually more now. I don't know the exact number, but it's used all over the world. And it's proven to work across different cultures, socioeconomic backgrounds, and with many different types of families and family structures. So what parents receive is some very clear and concrete strategies. So there's some 5 key steps of positive parenting there, but the goal is to build healthy relationships and for parents or caregivers to learn to communicate well with their spouses or with their children, promote healthy development, and encourage those behaviors and skills that they want to see more of. And then the last part is to, if there are any difficult behaviors or emotions, that the parent learns to deal with those too. So it's kind of a step-by-step program. And I do have a handout here if you want to keep this as a reference. And there is a website that parents can go to and get the program for free as well. So why Triple P? Well, because it has the evidence base behind it. It's also very flexible delivery. So it is a CAM program, but it gives you a lot of flexibility. So depending on your community, you can pick and choose from many different levels of intervention, whatever suits your community. There's really comprehensive resources. I bought some examples again. So we have tip sheets from many different topics. So a parent can walk into the hub and say, I'm struggling with, I'm feeling a little bit stressed. So there is a tip sheets for the parent, for parenting in general, and then there's in different age categories. So typical behaviors for toddlers, preschoolers, school-age children, and teenagers. So that's, and there's many other resources. That's just an example of what we have. Another positive thing, or why we're choosing Triple P, is because it has evaluates and measures the outcomes. So you do a pre and a post with the parent, so you can really see that you're making a difference in the parenting skills and how they're feeling supported. And then it's cost effective because it's it's already there. So you basically just have to deliver it to the parent. It's already done. All the job is done for you. And what you can get in Coaldale. So we have 2 trained facilitators at the Coaldale Hub. We offer courses, so that will be more intensive group sessions where the parents come back, the same group of parents come back ongoing on a more intensive level, or a quick seminar, or just one evening of a discussion group. We also provide one-on-one support. And then the tip sheets I already mentioned. And we have also collaborated with the schools to offer Triple P in the school. And I think that's it. Thank you. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. At this time, we just wanted to say a sincere thank you from FCSS, all of our staff, those who work at the hub. We're very fortunate to have a wonderful town facility to provide these tremendous services to the residents in the community. This past year, McHappy Day, many of you were there or had, and the staff even came. Lana took an order and was and brought it back to the crew here. This year was the most successful McHappy Day that the Coaldale branch has had since McDonald's opened, and part of that was to the collaborative effort, especially that from the town. And the last big thanks I would get Landa to switch to the next slide there is for this project here. Back in the fall of 2016, I came to town council and asked permission, at least philosophically, to move forward with an expression of interest for a grant that I had become aware of through the TD Friends of the Environment. So it was just to say I'm thinking about putting the grant in. If I did that and we would receive funding, would that be something that the council would be supportive of? The feeling was yes, so we did. We were successful in the grant, and an outcome of many hours of planning and discussion and a real collaborative effort, especially from those within the staff and management here at the town of Coaldale, has led to the development of this space behind the hub. What you'll see there is some slides, some recycled telephone posts from Fortis. That's on the kind of the big photo. On the top left is a space with rocks, pea gravel, and a couple of big boulders. And then in the bottom left is some great big logs that children can move on. So those in the field of child movement and encouraging movement, natural play spaces, it has been trending for the last couple of years. There's a few in Calgary, but as we've discussed here in Coaldale, this space, once fully developed, will, in my opinion, rival most others that we've seen, both in size and scope. And so we're quite happy with it, and when it's completed, finally completed, it's going to be a tremendous asset and space for children. So there's already been, even when it was in full construction mode, I watched kids drive by on their bikes and walk by, and they're in the space. The one item we need now is some trees for shade, because it's a little toasty. But I sincerely thank Town of Coaldale Council for supporting this project, this idea from the beginning, and it's going to be a really beautiful space, and one that I think we can share the knowledge that we've learned here within this community to share with others, and that was the intent, that we develop some expertise and some knowledge, and through the effort, I have to make mention of Spencer Croyle, who's been a key member of the planning team. We've developed, along with some other community partners, great expertise that we'll be able to share what we've learned if others choose to do the same. So.
Well, thank you, Zach and Petra, for your presentation today. I really am appreciative of you accommodating council and coming, because due to busy schedules, not all members of council were able to attend all council's meeting, and Councillor Chapman, who's a board member, and Councillor Doreen Lloyd and myself were able to attend. And the one takeaway I have from those all council meetings is the actual live testimonials that the people that really benefit from the FCSS services can give in that. So it really reinforces our commitment to, why you're committed to the funding of such a good organization and all its good work. So I would encourage members of council to take opportunity in future years, if they can, to attend, because it's a really heartwarming evening when you can hear the different testimonials from the people that really benefit day to day. Seeing it on a slide is one thing, but hearing the actual person, telling that her husband and her benefited, and it improves the quality of their life and whatnot, is really good. So I'll open the floor to any members of council that have any questions, but again, I really appreciate you coming. Are there any questions? Councillor Chapman?
Thank you so much, Your Worship, and more of a comment than a than a question, because I'm on the board and I've really appreciated all of your hard efforts and your work in directing FCSS Barons Eureka Warner. And I guess my point with the photos of the new play park, I think you're looking forward to an unveiling at a period of time, and would you care to share as to when you're planning that occasion?
Sure. We've been working, speaking with Town of Coaldale staff about having a ribbon cutting or an opening, grand opening on Settler Days in early July. But we've also talked about a soft opening. One of the part of the vision for this space came from Spencer Croyle heading to some of the local schools and getting the students to really sketch out what they envision in this space. So we've also talked about a soft opening before that day possibly as well. So more than happy to keep this council up to date as to what the plans are for that, and welcome all of you to join us when those events happen. As you saw a couple of slides there, so you may want to partake and give it a try and see the fun that the kids might have or not. But anyways, it's yeah, it would definitely keep you up to date. But for now, for sure, we're looking at Stettler Days.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I acknowledge that Petra is attending some of our committee meetings with the Settler Day planning and that, and so that's just another part of FCS's integration with our community, and that's greatly appreciated to have the input at those meetings and all the work that you're going to do during Settler Days this year, the group, so that's awesome. So you probably have another job to get back to, so with our thanks, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to playing on the natural play ground in the near future.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So a motion to receive that delegation for information. Councillor Lloyd, all in favor? Okay, that's carried. Okay, 8.2, Cindy. All right, you have the floor, Cindy.
Okay, so this is the item of the solid waste pickup locations. So currently, solid waste is picked up in a number of locations, even if you have a lane. And that just came from a different reasoning behind lane conditions, preferences of the garbage or of the solid waste truck drivers or of the residents themselves. And as per our solid waste bylaws, whether your bins are set out in the laneways or front, they are supposed to be moved back onto your property by 7 p.m. on the day of your pickup, and a lot are left back into the lanes permanently. So in the staff report, we've put together, in collaboration with Spencer and Terry, some negative and positives of having the laneway or front pickup of all the different areas in town. We've included what it costs to rebuild the laneways versus your paved road surfaces, and just how we would have to schedule a few other things, such as street sweeping if we did go to strictly front pickup. Another section that was included was public engagement, if council would wish to have. So we have 3 recommendations from staff, that council change all residential solid waste pickup to the front, to keep it the same with public engagement, or and with the public engagement could be a survey if council so did choose.
Any questions through to Cindy? Councillor Chapman?
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and through to Cindy. How effective do you feel that a public survey would help this transition?
I don't know if it would be per se for the transition itself, the survey. It would be, I guess, to see what people's thoughts were on it. To do the transition, I guess for a survey, just for the transition, it wouldn't really work. You would just roll it out. The survey would be more to ask, get the answers from some questions, whether people want, whether it would be, say, bylaw to enforce it, taking the time to enforce moving all the bins back in. If you want it front pickup, if you currently have rear, that type of thing, it wouldn't be the changing of it.
Keelan?
Just to build on Cindy's comments. Just to build on Cindy's comments, anecdotally, there have been a few small examples where we've switched from front pickup to rear pickup and vice versa. It is a change. There's some people that have a system, whether it's front or rear. As staff, we've did a SWOT analysis, a bit of an assessment of the pros and cons. And with a survey, our intent would be to share, our assessment of the pros and cons, let them see what all the decision-making variables are. And some people, we've been given to understand that they like it rear and some want it front. It's not going to be unanimous. But at least with a survey, we can actually inform them on what the pros and cons are, because there's quite a few elements to it. Like, for example, this last winter, big snow drifts in the alleys made it really hard to pick up in the laneways, and we don't do snow removal currently in the alley. So that's just like one example of the different layers of operation that this could affect. So if nothing else, it's not just flipping a coin going, front rear. Like, there's a lot of different reasons for it, and we wanted to, if we were going to do a survey, at least give that information along with the survey so people can give some informed feedback on what to do in light of the pros and cons.
Yeah, I'm in favor of the survey in the sense that, a while back, council entertained the idea of switching, and that was, it elicited a lot of feedback from people, either for or against. Mostly, the people that reached out to me were not necessarily supportive of it, but I think it's important to gauge that kind of idea. And it does seem like when I talked to people a few years back, some of them had really valid suggestions on why the methodology would make sense or whatnot, that they had local knowledge of their situation and whatnot. So I think it'd be worthwhile to take full advantage of our big investment in MetroQuest and then launch a survey to get a little bit more understanding from the public. It's because I just give that perspective, because not everybody was on council when the last time that we really seriously looked at switching our methodology of pickup. So there. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I guess I'm struggling with the idea of a survey, because if we ask the question, do you want front pickup or back pickup or remain the same, we're certainly going to get those who are front are going to stay front, want front. Those that have rear right now are going to be adamantly clear that they want to continue with rear pickup, whether it's in the town's best interest or not. So if we do have a survey, I don't want to see a question on there, do you want to stay with what we have right now, or do you want front or do you want rear? I think the only question we need to put on there is, if we changed, what is the impact to you? And give us some details as to why they feel it's important to either stay at the front or stay at the back. A yes or no question on front or rear, I don't think gives us any more information than what we probably have right now. And to me, I would rather depend on administration to come up with the best ideas and the best reasons why we need to make a change. And if administration can convince me, then I would certainly accept that before I would accept the results of a survey that says, do you want to stay where you're at or not?
Councillor Pauls.
Once I agree with him. He's right. We need to have a survey done in-house and then let us know what the benefits are. Right, Roger?
Good thing we're live streaming this. Yeah, no, I agree with the, it would be crucial not to have the survey worded in a sense that it yes or no kind of a thing. I think we should elicit some information back from the people because they may have relative life lessons for us to learn type thing, and so I think that's the conundrum that the administration has is to put together wordsmith a proper survey that kind of gets some valuable feedback from our citizenry. That's for sure. 'Cause, looking at the survey, it looks relatively cheaper to kind of do a bit of work on an alley versus replacing a main street, and the report does highlight that some streets are prone to having some problem if you have the front pickup type thing in that. So it's, maybe the survey might give us valuable knowledge on, maybe where to invest a bit more work on upgrading some alleys so that if we were to keep it there, then we could keep the alleys in a way that they don't get degraded and whatnot. And I'm sure in today's modern world that a company that picks up garbage can model a schedule or a route that can include some streets and some alleys if that's the way it goes too. So anyway, that's good. Don't want to share all the limelight today, but any other questions or concerns? Kevin?
Just a quick follow-up comment. We're not necessarily, we weren't intending to do a vote front versus rear. It's more, we've done an assessment. Here's the different elements. We are analyzing our waste collection program, and front versus rear is one of the dimensions. We want to get a sense on what people's thoughts are on that and share with them the different dimensions that we've already identified internally. And a lot of times you get some good insights that you may miss as staff. Like people, they know their waste collection habits very well, and sometimes if they share some good insights, it can really help us make a better decision or recommendation for council.
Okay, so with all that being said, is there anybody that cares to adopt one of the recommendations? Councillor Chapman?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I'll make the recommendation of number 2, that council direct staff to prepare and deliver a resident survey in advance of making a decision on the change from rear to front pickup.
We have Councillor Chapman making a motion to adopt recommendation number 2 as per the staff report. Any discussion? Councillor Pauls?
You want to keep resident survey in there? Or are we just going to do a survey? Which would be in-house instead of resident. We just talked about that. Because I won't vote for resident survey.
So a survey of what magnitude? Of administrative staff? Oh.
Staff, yes.
Councillor Holm?
No, I do believe that we do need to get some input from the residents as well, but we do need to make sure that administration brings the final recommendation to us, so we don't just get yes or no from residents.
Okay. We have your motion on the floor then, so any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of adopting recommendation number 2? Okay, against? Councillor Pauls is opposed. Thank you, Cindy. And then we have item 11.1, the FCSS board meeting minutes. Anybody care to move those for information? Councillor Chapman moves the acceptance. All in favor? Okay. And I believe we have covered all of the business items of the public session. A motion to go in camera? Councilor Lloyd? Okay, all in favor? Okay, that's carried.